This episode is brought to you by SMZ, your independent go-to partner in all matters relating to finance, insurance, real estate, tax and law for both private and corporate clients. To find out more, go to smz.ch. SMZ, tailor-made, holistic for you. You have your own company now, and I just wonder, how do you split your time across your operational role of your own company? And I think if I counted correctly, the 9 board seats that you also have on top of that. That sounds like a lot of balls to juggle in the air.
Yeah, I was a handball player.
that helps.
So that helps.
Welcome to the Swisspreneur Show, a podcast about startup stories and learnings from experienced entrepreneurs. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a rating. And now, here's your host, Sylvan.
Pascal, a very well welcome to the Swisspreneur Show. It's a pleasure to have you as a guest today.
It's amazing to be here in Zurich, coming out of the snow from Arosa.
In September, notably.
In September, yeah.
This is just
up
crazy.
All white, beautiful.
A bit earlier than expected, I would say. You are the founder and president of Arosa Tourism. You're also the founder of TFY Consult, an agency helping companies to reach true sustainability. What that means and how you started the company, we're going to talk about all of that in a second. But you actually finished your studies in business administration at the turn of the millennium. And then a few years later, in 2008, you went on to start Arosa Tourism. What was the Swiss business landscape back then? Because we all know there was the financial crisis, etc. How did you experience 2008?
Wow, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
I just remember 2006 when I stopped my handball career and after finishing studying. And the finishing line was the European Championship in Switzerland, playing as my last matches. And then we founded in midst of this economical crisis also the Swiss Sports Television in 2006. And we only could be successful in the beginning because of money of investors and patrons, so fans of sport. Yeah. So I already saw there that it is a difficult situation. And then 2008, as you mentioned, I started to be the CEO of Arosa Tourism. I did not found the company. It's a 100-year-old destination, Arosa. But we started to do it in an entrepreneurial way and also a little bit in a different way than 100 years before. Situation was really like that when I think about Arosa. Winter tourism was lacking, was not running well. Mm-hmm. Summer tourism was not an issue yet, and we honestly had some troubles also to finance all the touristic infrastructure. Yep. That's why we decided to try it in different ways. I think we're going to talk about this.
Definitely. And you said you brought in this entrepreneurial spirit to really bring Arosa to the next level. You succeeded in doing that. But where does your entrepreneurial drive come from? Did you have any role models or someone who pushed you to eventually become an entrepreneur yourself?
I think my role model was the sport. Yeah. In sports, you are your own entrepreneur. You are in charge of your body, of your athletic skills. You care about your own mental health, about your focus, to be driven to become a good sportsman. Mm-hmm. And then you also deal with instant winning or losing. So the game is over, you lose the game. What can I do better to win the next game? And you really start also in a young age to work in a team, to function in a team, to understand the different teammates. So I think I got this entrepreneurial DNA, as we say, during my sports career.
That's a fantastic parallel. I also want to talk about that. But first, let's focus on Arosa. Why the heck did you choose Arosa? Did it find you or did you find Arosa?
Good question. Arosa was at the destination we always went on holiday with my family, with my parents, in summertime, in wintertime. I think until 25, I was never at the sea in another country. We only stayed in Arosa during holidays. So I had some very, very much positive energy with Arosa, but also some issues like, wow, always the same destination. It's a small destination at the end of the world, as we know, on 800 meters over sea level. But I think it was deep inside my heart. And when I got this opportunity to work in this place, really a big brand in tourism, but a small village with 2,500 people. I was inspired by thinking about that. And then happened something else. My grandfather told me the story about my roots and our family in Arosa. And my grandfather was as a priest there in Arosa. So when I got to know this story, I know I want to go there. And so we started it. And from the perspective of an entrepreneur, it was very interesting to think about changing this organization from a service organization into an event organization and into an organization which starts to measure what they do. And this was for sure also a reason why I went up in the height of Arosa.
I like this personal connection. I imagine this is really also a strong motivator to keep going and to do really, really good in that sense.
Yeah, that's true. And by knowing that I have not the right dialect for this region, it was also a challenge to start there and to tell the people, hey, we want to make change. And on this point, I also have to say it was perfect. The board I had was perfect. Some people living a long time in Arosa, they give us trust. They give us also, like we say, free hands, so we could really develop and not by being pushed to go in this direction or another direction by the board. So that was important also.
Absolutely. And there's two big topics I want to talk about. The first one is every tourism region has this big balance to strive for, right? You have the local population, which is pretty small in Arosa, and you sort of have the global or at least the outsider population, no matter if people come from Zurich or if they come from abroad. And that's quite a different culture between the locals and all the people visiting a region. How do you balance the two? Because I imagine that can also be quite a challenging thing to do, with the locals saying, this is our place, what do you want here? But at the same time also reaping the benefits of tourism and the purchase power, etc., from people visiting the region.
Let's face an actual situation and then another example with the city of Barcelona. Barcelona was not on the list of the top 10 cities in Europe, in the world, before the Olympics in 1992. Then they come on this landscape and everybody wants to go to Barcelona. And nowadays, today, people, the locals say, it's enough, we don't want to have more tourists. It's for me a perfect example where this balance was not managed. And it's really a problem at the moment there. So come back to Arosa. With us, it is communication. We always communicated intensely with all the people living in Arosa when we had new ideas, when we thought about new light tower project. For instance, as the Arosa Bear Sanctuary, which was something completely crazy and new. But also when we started this event, this event combination and this event topics by bringing much more people also from abroad to Arosa for an experience we the locals were not used to. For instance, we were the first one doing gay ski weeks. The locals were like, whoa, what's happening here? And we explained that this is something which is important for our world, which is also needed for destinations. And today, the locals and the people coming for this gay and lesbian week, they are unique. They understand each other. They talk to each other. So communication, what you want to do, is very important. Second point, we want to have results. So when we do something new, when we bring people from abroad, also from the French part of Switzerland, the people, the locals want to see that something is happening. The people come to our restaurants, they use our hotels, they communicate also with the farmers up in Arosa. And I think that's something we balance very well. That's why Arosa is really running. And we, until now, and I hope it will stay like this, we don't have mass tourism.
Do you think that this could eventually ever become a problem?
When you ask me, I would say yes, this could be a problem. We have also so many Instagrammable spots, as we call them. So if you come up and you have 1 million followers and you make a picture and tell the people, go up there, this could be something not easy to manage. That's why we don't push so much on social media. Social media is important for every tourism region, but we are not pushing, like, for instance, Ronaldo. I read today he has now 1 billion followers. That's not the Arosa topic.
I see. Luckily, we're not a threat to you yet. We don't have 1 million followers yet. In the sense, the second topic I want to talk about is not the cultural challenge, but also the investment part. Usually, you need to invest in infrastructure, because what you build is not only for the local population, but you need to be able to handle way more people than actually live there throughout the whole year. So that requires a big upfront investment. How do you make sure that you can make that investment and invest it in the right infrastructure?
It's maybe the most complex topic of a destination like we are. As you mentioned, we are 2,500 with the whole valley, 3,500 people living there. Yeah. And then at Christmas time, we have 35,000 people. Every bed is occupied. So the infrastructure must be working when we have a fully booked destination. That's why the invest is high. On one hand, the commune have to invest this money. That's why we also have to run the businesses in tourism very well, that we have enough money to invest by ourselves. On the other hand, when you speak about the infrastructure of the cable car companies, of the hotels, of the restaurant, there it is a mix of business money. So you invest and you get back on your shares. Cable car companies working very well like that. On the other hand, you need, in German, we call it Mäzene or patrons in English. We need these people falling in love with a place, falling in love with a hotel, and invest money by knowing maybe this is not coming back in the whole investment I did. And this is our task and topic as a tourism organization. Also for me as somebody nice connected, I'm really searching people like that to try to bring them falling in love with our place, to invest in hotels like the Chukken we have, the Kulm Hotel, or others I could name. So yeah, it's something you work on it day by day, and in a personal connection with people, maybe can fall in love with the place.
It sounds also a bit like an irrational investment because, maybe there's no return, but hopefully it's a lot of fun. How do you convince people? Because I imagine these business people or wherever they made their money, they are used to be very rational. What's my return on investment? And maybe they even have their own teams. How do you convince them to make an investment that might not even deliver any return?
So first of all, it is in a way irrational. Second thing, also people with a lot of money want to having the return. They have another side. And that's where I come from. It's a sustainable side. It's a deep, inspired side in yourself. Imagine at one of the nicest places, I get some Hühnerhaut, we call in German. Imagine in one of the nicest places, mountains around, you have the opportunity to build up a fantastic hotel. If you have the money and you have this opportunity, and it's only you and not 1,000 others having also the money, you take this chance. And you are mentally, but also personally engaged to this project. And yeah, you want to do it as well as possible also on the economical side, but the invest, you don't think about coming back. And that's what I think the main point of destinations like Arosa, but also Zermatt or Andermatt, or as you name it.
So it's also a bit prestige or status in that sense to do something that money cannot necessarily buy.
Yeah, and I have to smile when I hear this question. It is prestige. Yeah. But when you are in Arosa, we don't want to have people thinking too much about prestige because we are on as we say, on eye level to each other. So yes, you have a lot of money, you invest in Arosa, we appreciate that a lot, but we want to talk with you normally, the way we talk in our destination. And I think also people with money and looking for prestige, they love it when they face people on the same eye height, as we say, on 1,100 meters over sea level. We also say you to everybody, so in a very personal way.
So it's a down-to-earth prestige.
It's down-to-earth prestige.
I like that. Because there are other destinations that prefer the not down-to-earth prestige.
They're also working, but they're different.
Of course, it's a different segment that you cater to. Yeah. Now, you also do a lot of events. You said you sort of shifted to an event business. First of all, why was that important? Was that a pure business decision also? And give us some examples how you do that. What are your events and how do you pull them off?
When you imagine a destination is working in the crowded time, as we call it, so everybody's having holiday, Christmas time, February in Switzerland, and also in summer, July and August. But next to that, you have not so many people coming up. So that's why you have to bring these ideas on plate in a destination that you come up for this topic. The best example in my eyes is the Arosa Humor Festival, always in the beginning of December, before Christmas time. And if you want to smile and have a good time in a tent in middle of a winter area, then you come up because of this situation. And then you see also Arosa. But it's not the reason you come up. You come because of the Humor Festival. So that's the way we started events. Another interesting thing is maybe in Graubünden, where Arosa is located, soccer is not an issue. So we started the snow soccer world championship in January, because in January also we have enough beds to fill with people. And then people came up interested in soccer because all the old stars were playing there. So out of these events, we could fill this Januarloch, as we call it in German. And that's the reason why we invent events and why we also work on these events during the whole year.
I love that, because these events, they help you to cope with the seasonality of the business. Usually you have the big peaks, right?
Exactly.
And in between, you pull off top events to have more people coming up when it's not so busy.
Yeah.
How do you get the event set up? Like, how do you make sure that you have good events that actually make people come up there even it's not the high season?
Let me add on this 3 points. First of all, we are our own event organization. So we know how to do the events, but we do it ourselves. It's not an agency coming to Arosa, not knowing the setup. So we know it. We are the people living there. Second point, we try to event and create new events. Like I mentioned, Humor Festival, Snow Soccer World Championship, a classic car on an official road, stuff like that. So that it's new and maybe attracts people to come up. And the third point, we find the money and the sponsors and the partners. And there we have a very big advantage, and that's the brand of Arosa. A lot of companies want to work together with these famous brands.
It is super famous. Like, even me, I have never been to Arosa, which is a shame.
Yeah,
but even the brand is very top of mind for me, which is crazy. So you do a good job in that sense.
Maybe we do a good job, but I think also the people before us did a great job, because the logo of Arosa, this iconic logo, is the same 100 years ago. And we are one of the destination organizations not changing it, not making it modern, because this old style logo, this is the brand.
It works.
It works.
Exactly. Do you have some numbers to share? Because I'm really interested to see, if you go to an average destination, they have the seasonality. So by launching and hosting these events, how much business results sort of did you produce by having them off season, basically?
It's interesting. When we started 2008, we had around 850 overnight stays in the destinations, and now we are on 1.2 million overnight stays. And I would say 100,000 until 150,000 are really event overnight stays, because when you come to Arosa and attend an event, you stay there, you sleep there, because the way is 2 hours from Zurich. So that's in a good combination. On the other hand, what we also see is that the restaurants, the consuming people in the locations we already had, they also grow always when we have events. We had this summer the classic car events, where the full destination was 4 days booked out.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And who is the typical persona that you cater to? Do you have like, hey, this is the typical Arosa visitor, so to speak?
This is a perfect question, because Arosa is a family destination. So normally we have the families, kids from 1, 2 until 14, 15, and maybe not older. And with the events, we go specifically on other clients and target groups. So we also want to attract people single or without kids, in between 40 and 60. So that's how we create events, to also get people to Arosa which have not been there. Maybe we have to create an event for a young person like you, so that you will visit us in the next years, hopefully also.
Maybe we can do one of our Swisspreneur events up
Let's
there
do something
day.
like
That's
that.
Cool. So I see the strategy is clear. Families are working well. This is your core customer group. So you host events to attract other people and open new markets, so to speak.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. What other numbers are you tracking? You said you really also track your impact. So the restaurant bookings, the hotel bookings, the total overnight stays, these are all really important key KPIs. What else are you tracking to make sure that you're on track?
Very interesting and very important are the sold tickets at the cable car companies in winter. That's very important. There we had 2014 this connection with Lenzerheide. So Arosa Lenzerheide as a winter destination really got big. We are on the top 5 now in Europe, and the tickets sell really went up. So this is a number we measure also. And then it's also the money per person per overnight stay we try to measure. I think this is the most interesting, because there you talk about target groups. So we want to attract people which are also letting some more money back in the destination.
Absolutely. And then that money is used to reinvest and create new events, and you have the full circle.
Exactly. And also what you mentioned before, also to invest in the infrastructure, because we need to also renew all the infrastructure in the commune.
Yeah. That's so interesting to see, like a completely different business than we usually have on the show. I love that.
It's a little bit more than we have just our own company, you and me. There are so many stakeholders you have to handle. And this is the interesting thing. And maybe this is also the reason why I finally decided then to become my real own entrepreneur and founded Therefore Consult. Yeah.
And that is the perfect segue to my next question, because in 2020, you decided to step down from your operation role in Arosa. You remain now only as president. Of course, you're still involved. But why did you decide it was time to let go of the operational part?
There were 2 points. One is I was 15 years, 24/7 for Arosa there. Every weekend, I love the job. I think it's the most interesting CEO job you can have. But on the other hand, it tires you also a little bit up. So it is very intense. And the second point is I learned so much in this time for Arosa Tourism that it was like clear that the next step could be to found something with some friends, which is really your own and where you have the full control and also the full responsibility.
And that's exactly what you then did. In 2021, you founded TFY Consult, which aims to help businesses to become truly sustainable. So first of all, we need to better understand, what does truly sustainable mean from your perspective?
I always start with the following. Sustainability and sustainable is much more than just ecological. So you have to understand that sustainability means it must be suitable for kids. It must be suitable for the kids of the kids. And it is 4 dimensions in sustainability. So next to the social part, it's also the economical part. And the most important thing, I think, that the people taking the decision, they have to be open for change in a sustainable way. And that's why we started TFY Consult, to be challengers, sparring partner, and also input people to mid and small size companies in Switzerland to think about their model of business, of products, of services in the future.
Fantastic. And I wonder, when did your interest in sustainability start? Was that linked to Arosa, where you saw, hey, we cannot survive without thinking sustainably in the 4 pillars that you just mentioned, or did it already start earlier?
I think it started earlier, but I did not know it. When you are a sportsman, I come back to that, you care really sustainable about yourself, because you know I can only give my performance when I care about myself. So I think then it started, but I was not aware of it. And the real interest in sustainability started in Arosa, because when you are in midden of this nature and you have to create reasons that people come up and be tourists, then you also see that when I do this, maybe the nature is not able to handle it. And when I do it like this, okay, then it's in line with nature. So there was a picture I had in my mind. But I think the last step to be that inspired by sustainability was the Arosa Bear Sanctuary. On a social dimension, so we care about animals, they had a bad life, and we brought them back kind of a free life. So that was interesting. And on the other hand, I got into connections with NGOs, with different NGOs, with Pro Natura, with For Paws, for instance. And I saw there that they care more about the effect of their acting than on the money coming back end of month. And yeah, that was inspiring for me.
I love that. You really said, hey, we depend on nature.
Yeah.
And you can maximize your profit, but if you then harm nature too much, you will have no income anymore a few years down the road.
Yeah, and I think, it's maximized profit. I agree completely, but it's not growth without an end. So exactly. I think we really have to deal about growth. Yeah. In Western Europe, in our countries, I think we should not push too much growth. In other regions on this planet, it's different. But make with good decisions, sustainable decision, the maximizing of the profit running.
In that sense, we always strive to grow, right? As a society, as an economy, everywhere. Is there also, especially if you look at Arosa, is there also a limit where you say we should not or we cannot grow beyond a certain point?
Yeah. That was the last thing I fighted for as an operational leader in Arosa, that we said 1.3 million is the limit. Overnight stays. We don't want to have more than 1.3 million overnight stays, because with this number, everybody is well. We have a healthy tourism. We have good business. So why should we have more? And I think this is an example I give a lot of companies. Please think about that. Yeah. It's not about 1.5 and 1.3 is perfect. Yeah. It's like when you as a sportsman, when I win the European Championship, the next European Championship, I can also only win. It's not a win of the win. And in sport, this is clear. Yeah. That's the limit. It's done. Okay, we faced it, that we reach the same, but no more.
Yeah. In that sense, it doesn't mean that you cannot grow in other terms, right? Then you can make more revenue per customer, or you have additional income streams. But you set a certain limit, and then you have to focus on other areas.
Yeah. Let me point another example with the Arosa Bear Sanctuary. Mm-hmm. We have tickets, we have donations, and we live well. And then we said, why don't we do merchandising? So we started to merchandise, and now we grow in merchandising and can invest the money for the bears. It's an example, perfect, as you mentioned it.
Yeah, fantastic. I like that change of thought, that not all growth is the best, but sometimes the growth has to come from other areas.
I agree. I fully agree.
And lots of companies, they also make green pledges. They say, we are sustainable, we really take care of stuff. But sometimes it's hard to believe them. So you've seen a lot. You know the sustainability space. How much of these statements from companies is actual greenwashing?
My words would be, sustainability is not a marketing topic. It's a duty, it's an attitude. And when you do something with marketing thoughts and sustainability, let's say, we have the cleanest water of all companies, then the client and the customers will see it, and it will come around. So greenwashing will immediately be seen by people. You don't bring the results you proclaim. So that's the first point. And on the other hand, I think we have to start and to try and to do try and error in sustainability. And if you say, look, I try to do the best water as I can, and you fail, it's wrong to tell you you're a greenwasher, because when we not try, we will not get better. Exactly. And I think the balance of that is very important. That's why I don't agree to media when they really push too much on companies trying and maybe having failure in the first 1-2 years.
That's in sort of how we deal with failures, right? If you get a hit on your head, if you fail, no one will try again, because you just get destroyed.
A lot of our clients tell us this in the first discussion, say, I tried, but had some problems then with media or clients, so I don't want to face now sustainable topics. Yeah. And that's what happens, and that's really not a solution situation.
That's just a lot of missed opportunities in that sense.
Exactly.
A bit of provocative question, but if you look at Arosa, many of the customers or users, however we want to call them, they drive up there by car, right? Isn't that also a bit of a contradiction sometimes, where you say, hey, we focus on sustainability, but then most of the people just drive up there in all their fancy cars for 1 or 2 nights and then leave again?
You're back in the one-way communication of ecological sustainability. Mm-hmm. I agree. Traveling is not sustainable when you check it on an ecological way, because there we do our footprint and our CO2 emissions. So to solve these problems, you should give the clients or the customers or the people going up on holiday opportunities. Mm-hmm. And our opportunity is a train. We have one of the most fancy trains coming up from Chur to Arosa, from the airport close to here. In 2 hours, you are in Chur, you change to this fancy train, and then you're in Arosa. So we offer these as a good option, and we also price it better. So in a lot of our events, the ticket for the train is included to motivate you to take the train and not the car. But, and this is also important, it's your decision. If you decide you come with your car, I think we should not be the people. We don't want to have you because you have a car. But maybe I'm not smiling as you that intensely that I smile on the person coming out of the train.
Fair. But I love that importance of the pricing, right? As if you make the sustainable options cheaper, they will automatically be used by more people. And I think that's the right way to go to also have a good influence on consumer behavior in that sense.
Yeah. And I'm convinced that it's also from the economical part. it is possible to make such bundles, as we call it, with overnight, with arriving by public transportation. That's a chance, and we should push that. It's also a good business.
Absolutely. Besides your newly founded company, TFY Consult, you're also active as a board member, for example, at the financial advisory company SMZ here in Zurich. What makes a good board member? I think you're the right guy to ask that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a good board member has the quality to look from outside to an industry. So I believe in a good mix of boards with also people from outside. That's certainly one of the reasons why the CEO, Xim Azani, asked me to be part of SMZ. On the other hand, there are duties you have as a board which are non-delegatable duties, as we say. If somebody is not aware of that, then I think it's not a good board member. And then it's also always the question about the balance to be a sparring partner of the people in charge, of the operational people, of the leaders on one hand, and on the other hand, also to be person to give the critical questions, to give maybe some other ideas to consider by running the business. And when you find a good mix, then I think it's working to be an added value in a board.
Absolutely. And I see that you've been very operationally involved, right? In building and growing Arosa, building your own company. And being a board member usually also means being a bit more passive. Do you sometimes struggle with that? Because I feel you want to get stuff done. You want to be operational, but as a board member, you cannot really be that operational.
Yes, I struggled with these questions in the beginning, but it's interesting. I found my role in every board I'm in by being this specialist in sustainability. So almost no board in Switzerland have really people understanding ecosystems and sustainability and all the 4 pillars, as you mentioned it. And when you have the chance to challenge the people in charge on sustainability, then you have a little bit operational activities as a board member. And that's how I find now the balance, and can also be passive in other topics and have only the heart of the board
I see.
member.
And you have your own company now, and I just wonder, how do you split your time across your operational role of your own company? And I think if I counted correctly, the 9 board seats that you also have on top of that. That sounds like a lot of balls to juggle in the air.
Yeah, I was a handball player.
that helps.
So that helps. And it's. I think this is important. No, I primarily use the time in train. By coming down to Zurich, to Bern, to St. Gallen, to Aarau from Arosa, you have the time on train. And I prepare myself very often in the train for the meetings. And I try there also to switch from one mandat to the other. And that works well. I think it's important to have the ability to think in a networked way about all your different topics. I think this is the secret behind that it's really working.
To really carve out time where you are focused and can prepare without interaction.
Absolutely.
Without distraction.
Without distraction,
yes.
Yeah. Maybe also without interaction in some focus timings.
Yeah. And you mentioned multiple times you were a very successful professional handball player. And I just wonder, because that's a topic we often also like to discuss, is what are the parallels, the things that an athlete's mentality can bring to an entrepreneur's mentality or daily life?
I think there is one really central topic, and this is the way how athletes work with winning or losing. I think this is something sportswomen, sportsmen are really in front of people not having this experience in sport. This is very important, and that means also sportsmen, they are not frustrated when they lose.
Part of the game.
It's part of the game, yeah. You lose more than you win, finally. I think there is this Michael Jordan citate where he said, by having one successful shot, I have 50 missed shots. So yeah, that's the way it is. And the other thing is the team. I think to find a role in a team, and during a sports career, you're 1 or 2 years maybe on top, but you have for sure also 1 or 2 years you're the last player on the bench. And by understanding these functions in between a team, this is something in business. It's really also important.
There are also differences, of course. Maybe as a startup, you have a similar team size to a sports team. Usually these are both small teams, but as soon as you then, go into a bit of a bigger company, probably with your board mandates, you have way bigger teams, way bigger companies. So what are some differences that you see between sports and business where we cannot draw direct parallels?
First of all, I would say in sports, there are also bigger teams. Let me come back to this point. But first of all, I think the bigger the team, the bigger the company, the more employees, the more difficult it is to have this direct conversation sportsmen are used to. Yeah. So this is something sportsmen have to learn. You cannot be that direct to a person 3 or 4 levels ahead because it's a big company.
You probably get into trouble for that.
You probably get into trouble. And I know also friends and colleagues got in troubles by this, but you can learn it. But let's come back. When you're part of an Olympic delegation, this is a big company. Yeah. So there are also opportunities to learn how to act in such huge companies when you are part of an Olympic delegation.
And you were in Paris. You attended the Olympic Games, and there, in terms of medals, Switzerland ranked, I think, 26th place when we break it down to medals per 100,000 people living in the country. Everywhere else on innovation, etc., Switzerland is like top 5, top notch. In the medals and the Olympic Games, we were only on rank 26. Are we selling ourselves too short there? Should we be better? Should we be more ambitious?
Yes, we should be more ambitious, but allow me first to say one word to Paris. I was absolutely thrilled. I think that's the way how Olympic Games have a future. It was a sign of friendship. It was interaction at all levels between the sports. The atmosphere was just mind-blowing. So really, really amazing. Come back to your question. Yeah, Switzerland is in the top 3, top 5 when it concern about innovation, about well-being, and all the things you mentioned. And now, Swiss Olympic, I'm a board member at Swiss Olympic, say we're happy. Yeah. We had very much medals. We had some 4 places. We have some diplomas. And yeah, it's true. When we check 100 people per country, then we are 26, and this cannot be the result we are happy with. And I was also not aware about this point of view, and we have to discuss this. And discussing means what can be the solution that we can be better also when we take these results. And I think it's cooperation over the borders of the different sports and federations on one hand, and the other hand, we need to use technology and innovation much more in sport in Switzerland.
In what way? Do you have like an example or a wish where you would like to make that happen?
Look, when I was a sportsman, we just shooted 50 to 250 times per practice, per training on the goal and the goalkeeper. But nobody was checking with a video cam or by seeing how I run before I shoot with the technology. All these opportunities we have today, and we don't use them enough in our daily practicing, and that's where we have to start.
Another thing I want to talk about is because we are so good in well-being and innovation, etc., maybe that also makes us a bit less hungry. So we are just satisfied faster. Do we lack this winner mindset?
It sounds true and understandable what you say, but I don't agree. When you are a sportsman, also in Switzerland, in one of the richest countries, as a sportsman, you always want to win. You want to have the gold medal at the Olympic Games. So it could not be the sportswoman or sportsman. So what could it be then? Maybe it's the support of companies, of economy, of federations like Swiss Olympic or the sports federation, or the infrastructure using in a commune or in a city. So I think, yeah, there you're right. So there we have to push that these athletes want to really reach top of the top, that they have enough support from all the circumstances and infrastructure topics.
I just remember by you saying that my uncle, he lived in the US for a very long time. And he said, Switzerland is the world's best second place. And I thought, that's interesting. And he just said, well, we don't have this sort of hunger to be number one like the US has. There are pros and cons about that. But I thought that's an interesting thought. We are happy to be second. We want to do good quality work and all of that. But we often don't have this ambition to be the best in the world.
Yeah, I agree to your uncle. And a good example from the Olympics nowadays, we have, I think, 10 or 11 fourth place. And the first, second best on an Olympics is the fourth, because when you get a medal, 1, 2, 3, that's good. So, and we were very happy with this fourth place. That it's amazing. They're so close to get a medal. So yeah, maybe this is true. On the other hand, let me give you an example of the women, of the female handball players. This summer, the U16 team of Switzerland became European champion, the first time in a women team sport in Switzerland. And these young ladies, they don't want to be the first, second best. They want really to be the best. But now they're coming back to Switzerland. And we have now the idea that they should win a medal in Brisbane at the Olympics in 32. And how do we now support them that they not fall back on this second best level we have in Switzerland? And that's an issue. We have the leaders in the organizations.
I feel we did an interview early this week with HP Strebel from the OIM, and they prepared there to get ready for that success. And I feel it's all about the environment. If you are surrounded by, we want to be the best, we do the best preparation we can, you can actually do it. They just proved that.
I fully agree, and I'm proud of the Swiss Handball Federation, where I'm a member, that we decided 5 years ago to go to the OIM, to HP Strebel, and not to an existing infrastructure in a handball club, because HP Strebel and the OIM had nothing to do with handball, but they had the best environment, but the best infrastructure. And these girls practiced there, and 5 years later, they became European champions.
You see the result. That's
you
amazing.
See the results.
I hope there will be more of these success stories out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, when you have, and that's a little bit parallel to tourism, when you have a person like HP Strebel investing so much money as a private person, giving back to sports, we have to support these people through all the opportunities we have.
100%. So let's also look into the future. Not only hopefully many more gold medals and championships to be won, but what is next for you, Pascal? What are your plans?
That's a good question. My biggest goal is to become really successful with TFY Consult. Successful means for me to be a company, maybe 20 employees, happy on their work, but for our goal to influence small and mid-sized companies to do more concerning the 4 dimensions of sustainability. That's first. The second thing, I stay in Arosa, I live in Arosa. I wish that this destination is also successful when my kids are in working age. So this is something always on my mind. And the third thing, I really want to support having successful Swiss team sports, women and male on Olympics. And the best would be if we could handle the Olympic 38 in Switzerland, the Winter Olympics, as a host.
Fingers crossed for that. To wrap up the conversation today, we also prepared some rapid fire questions for you. I give you a short question you have to answer in maximum 1 sentence. You ready?
Yeah.
What does money mean to you?
That's really the question I can't answer. I need money, but it has no meaning to me.
Okay, that's a statement, yeah. Sport or business?
Sports is the base of my life, and through sports, I could make business running.
Nice, I like that combination. CEO or board member?
CEO of Arosa Tourism was a dream job. Now I love this combination, being a sales board member of Therefore You Consult.
Perfect. What's your favorite investment that you have ever made?
It was the fun to invest in myself to become a good athlete.
I love that. Are you more of an early bird or a night owl?
I'm both.
A hybrid.
I think sleep is overrated by knowing that the older you get, the more important becomes sleeping.
Definitely. If you had to give it a scale from 0 to 10, 0, very unhappy, 10, extremely happy, how happy are you now in your life at this moment?
I'm extremely happy. I was always extremely happy. And to have unhappy times, it's also part of being happy.
Yeah. If you had to give a number right now, 10?
10.
Okay. And the last one, I know that's going to put you in a difficult situation, Arosa or Zurich?
My home is Arosa, and to be privileged to be regularly in Zurich, wow.
The best combination in that sense.
Yeah.
Also a very diplomatic answer. I like it.
Okay, I love Arosa. And I love to be in Zurich.
Of course. Pascal, thank you so much for coming on the show. That was a lot of fun. I wish you lots of success with your company and all the mandates. And yeah, all the best and take care.
Same for you, and thanks for having me.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, you can support us by rating our show on Apple Podcasts. This way, we can reach an ever-growing number of aspiring entrepreneurs.